As part of Ferrari Fridays, William Ross from the Exotic Car Marketplace will be discussing all things Ferrari and interviewing people that live and breathe the Ferrari brand. Topics range from road cars to racing, drivers to owners, as well as auctions, private sales, and trends in the collector market.
Welcome back to the Ferrari Marketplace. I'm your host, William Ross, where we talk everything about Ferrari. If you have listened to the Break Fix podcast a few episodes ago, we have the gentleman that I have on today, Mr. David Neyens from Motorcopia. We had an awesome chat with him, just a wealth of knowledge and what he can put together on a car, model, what have you, is just it's unbelievable. Brought David on today because we're doing a whole special in regards to Mecum and the Ferrari 250 GTO that's crossing the block at Kissimmee auction there in January, which is the one and only Bianco Speciale chassis 3729 GT. Needless to say, David, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Yes, this is fantastic. You are immediately the person we thought of to come to this. We had our previous podcast episodes that we did with Chris Mealy from Ferrari Prancing Horse of Nashville, and then also Sam Murtaugh from Mecum itself. We got into it, and then as we talked, a lot of detail that we can start really getting into, and David is the man that can fill in a lot of these holes. You know, there's a lot of things that we're kind of like, we weren't sure about. We didn't want to say the wrong things, trying to get more detail on it, so we thought it'd probably be a good move. So maybe really get into some of the nuts and bolts. Looking at David's notes, what he put together, he said he whipped together something really quick for us, and it's basically 6 pages of stuff. I'd hate to see what his thorough ones are.
You'll need some coffee to get through them all.
This had been fun. One of 36. The GTO is just a great car. I mean, it had been kind of pretty cool getting into it.
Absolutely. I mean, you might as well just dive right in on the deep end with this is the ultimate classic V12 Enzo era Ferrari ever. And they're all special, but these are the elite of the market. So it's really exciting to get into this.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's kind of one thing we could touch on first. It's one of 36 or is it one of 39, you know, Series 1, Series 2, because some Series 1s got rebodied and all that kind of stuff, then rebuy back. And so what'd you dig up on that kind of stuff?
The numbers I'm working with are Marcel Massini kindly provided me with a list of Ferrari production numbers years ago. He had access to the Ferrari factory records directly as part of his knowledge base.
And those of you who don't know who Marcel Massini is, he is the guru on Ferrari. I mean, he's incredible. So knowledge, just what he's able to do and just be able to accurately describe. And, you know, if you want your Ferrari legitimized, yes, the Red Bull Class Sheets is number one, but then having that Marcel Massini report is probably like 1A. I mean, he's just that well respected and his knowledge is just incredible.
He's probably laid eyes on so many of them. He's also very gracious. There's been times where I had a very detailed pointed question about a certain classic Ferrari and I could just call him up. He'd say, I'm at an auction right now, David, but I can tell you off the top of my head that, you know, you're correct. Or
yeah, exactly. I mean,
his knowledge is
retained.
Oh, yeah. And being able to connect the dots like that and access the actual provenance of something, the actual documentation is amazing. So that's the other thing. A lot of great people in this business that I've been able to interact with and get to know. And that makes it a lot of fun, too. Generally, there's 36, not counting. I believe there were 2 prototype cars. They could be classified as GTOs as well. But the number I'm seeing is 36 in all. But this is the beauty of researching these cars. They were track weapons. They were meant to win GT championships, world manufacturers championships, which they did 3 years running, 62, 63, 64. But there's always evolution race to race. And so some of the later cars also showed some changes. And there's one early car, as you know, I think they called it a 330 LM/250 GTO. It just makes everything that much more interesting. Whether it's 36 or 39, as some people say, the handcrafted aspect of these cars, you know, that people were actually hammering bodies at Scaglietti Coachworks using old school methods and panel beating, and there was nothing prefabricated at all on these.
Yeah, cigarette, glass of vino sitting on the work table next to him and hammering away.
Artwork, and no two exactly the same.
No, and I always thought it's funny because, you know, you look at one side of a car and then you go to the other side, gaps are different, everything. And they've even said it. Some doors are shorter than others, some are longer. I mean, it's just very minute.
Oh, yeah.
Once you start looking at it. But yeah, I mean, that's what you come up with, though, when stuff's handmade like that. You're not working with CNC machines, getting right down to scribing, and it makes it that much more unique.
Absolutely. That was a magical time. I mean, it just gives these cars that much more individual character and flavor. And this one's got it in spades. well beyond the special white color, which was a rarity. I think it's the only one of its kind.
Yeah.
The only car produced in white. I think it's just that much cooler.
Our previous one we did with Chris Mealy from Prancing Horse, he actually had the build from the factory where the order sheet was, and it was ordered in that Bianco Speciale. Why it was white, that was kind of the one thing we were trying to figure out. That was kind of one of Coombs's racing colors. It's not like bright white, but he had a special white that he used for his cars, and I think he had a gray or some other color that he also utilized on his stuff.
Yeah.
So you're getting 1 to 36. I mean, so it's only 36 cars are built. So I mean, right there alone is rarity. But then you only got the only one that ever left the factory in white. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
It always amazes me though, because you go back mid-70s. If someone's got a crystal ball, can see the future. I mean, everyone would be a billionaire, right? But back then, it was an old race car like that. They didn't care. So one of the owners had that thing painted red. That's what you would think, Ferrari red, because no one thought, hey, you know what, factory color, everything like that, adds value.
Oh, yeah.
And luckily, John Shirley was wise enough to get it painted back to the white. And I think he had to be convinced, paint it back to white. And everyone's like, it's only one. So thank God he did, because I think it looks spectacular in white.
Well, it's a standout. A mutual friend of ours, we were on the phone last evening about it, and she said, I also love that it's wearing number 10 because it's a perfect 10.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's back to that's the Graham Hill 1962 Goodwood Tourist Trophy number on it.
Yeah.
It's come kind of a full circle kind of a deal. The other thing about John Coombs, who purchased the car, being a Jaguar dealer in the UK, I read some conjecture. There's a couple of accounts. There's a really great article covering this car exhaustively, but for one or two details, and sort of just as the internet's emerging, but it was in one of my back issues I've got of Cavallino from 2001. It might have been covered in there or in a book published in 1982, a really, really good reference book on GTOs called the GTO Super Profile.
Mm-hmm.
In either of those two sources, apparently Coombs, he purchased the Ferrari because he was trying to convince Jaguar to get off their rear ends and make a lightweight E-Type to be more competitive in GT racing. So, it's a magical time when this car was built and born and starting to be raced exclusively in Britain and period, because you had Jaguar going toe-to-toe with Aston Martin, which had an amazing racing record too, and Ferrari. And it was just like an arms race. Each one is just outdoing the other one, a more powerful car, a lighter car, a more aerodynamic car with each of their succeeding models. So that's like one of the golden eras of GT class racing.
Coombs never confirmed it. It was always a well-known fact that he actually loaned the car to Jaguar to kind of do some reverse engineering on it to get that lightweight to try and match it. And it still couldn't get there, but they got close. But I always thought that was kind of cool too. With this car, hey, borrow it for a little bit and see what you can get in there and scrutinize. And I thought that was always kind of humorous as well, because it's just like, I mean, why not? I mean, he was a huge Jaguar guy, but he wanted to win.
And the manufacturers all went all out then. Nowadays, I mean, you can't do certain modifications to some of these cars, especially Ferraris, without getting a legal letter. Those kind of backroom stories about certain usages of cars when they were new is absolutely fantastic. Made Jaguar tried up its game too. And even though they arguably had better resources than Ferrari did at the time,
I would think, yeah,
to be able to do that. I mean, they were concentrating on road cars and the racing was sort of promoting the road cars. Vice versa, Ferrari was more interested in racing and paid the financial price for that.
That's when his finances, I mean, they were always on the precipice of failing, but things were tight.
Oh, yeah.
And racing was in his blood, but it was incredible. He was able to pull out of that factory and have these guys built. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one of the more interesting eras in Ferrari lore when the GTO was most competitive, because Ferrari was going through so many changes at the time. And then, they had just had the Palace Revolt, they called it. They had a real brain drain out of Ferrari at
massive.
that moment. It took some time to manifest fully what the results of that. But nonetheless, I mean, they were kicking the competition in this period.
We're trying to figure out, and I did a lot of digging. There was only 8 right-hand drives built.
Right on.
And the consensus always is, they did the right-hand drive, well, because of Le Mans, because it was quicker to change drivers and stuff. And my thought was, Coombs ordered this car from them, him being British, I want right-hand drive. Were you able to maybe dig anything up?
I think it's a combination of both. I wish I had something saying, a note to the factory or something, on an order form kind of idea, because I love, making sure I have documents or something to point to that's reliable. But I think it's a combination of both. the initial driver roster that had that car, except Richie Ginther from the States in 64, I believe, when he co-drove that car. So they're all British, right-hand drive. And then, like you said, with Le Mans, that's even more of a good reason why the right-hand drive.
Ginther is a great segue into the next portion here. Is there were some very, very famous drivers that wheeled this car, either by themselves or, obviously two drivers. Because back then at Le Mans, I mean, it was only two drivers. You couldn't have more than two. But I mean, there was a who's who in regards to people that drove this car.
Absolutely. You've got Roy Salvadori, 59 Le Mans 24-hour winner, co-driving with Shelby. I mean,
in itself, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's just one, right? And then you've got Graham Hill, went on to be the 1962 and 68 Formula One world champion, Indy 500 champion in 1966. He won Le Mans driving a Matra in 72.
That's a story in itself.
Yeah. And then at the end of his life, just a couple of years later, sadly, in a plane wreck, he had his own Formula One team.
Yeah.
It would have been exciting to see what that man could have done had he been able to go on further.
Oh, I agree.
You've got Mike Parks. He was a Ferrari development and engineer. Apparently, after he had a really bad F1 crash in 67, I believe. Once Mike was better, he wanted to go back to competitive F1 driving, and Enzo Ferrari apparently said, no, you're more valuable to me as an engineer, if that story holds.
Interesting.
He was the first to exceed 300 kilometers an hour on the Mulsanne with a Ferrari 330 LMP later. The cool thing is, this set of drivers, it's just the point in time when the gentleman driver was becoming the professional driver.
Yeah.
Now we have super athletes. I mean, these were they were real people.
Nowadays, you just got guys, hey, they only do F1, they only do, they really don't jump around. But these guys, they weren't getting paid all this money. They were getting it from start money, prize money. They raised whatever they could get their butt into so they could make a living.
A lot of these guys drove in non-championship points races too. Sadly, a lot of great drivers, their careers ended in some of those events. They were really committed to what they were doing.
That's what drove all these guys, the British and the Indy, was the money. 200 grand or something that the winner got. I mean, I know it was for that time. I mean, it was a lot of money. And I remember Jim Clark made this time. He goes, I don't make that in a year racing all this stuff. I can do it in one race.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, they're going to come over and do that.
Back then, that was generational wealth creation. I mean, winning and your career. I mean, when that was actually like a championship points race internationally at the time too. I mean, that was big stuff. There's even a driver I didn't know, Michael Salmon, I might be pronouncing it incorrectly, but I looked him up and he had a 20-year frontline racing career. He did, I think, virtually everything. I think he got into sports cars in Le Mans later in his career, but it was 20 years straight.
Yeah, that was a new name I saw, and they're like, oh, that's interesting.
You imagine back then, though, early to mid-60s, you got all the top international drivers. Many of them were British. A lot of the top points events were British. Then you morph into the Beatles, the British invasion, and I mean, this the cool factor to me just kind of goes up from there.
Jeez, that's one of the instances where it's like, man, I wish I was born and be part of that. Could you, man? I mean, I've been crazy. So expanding on talking about, being one of the only white ones, and this is one of only 8 right-hand drives. The other interesting story with this car too is the engine.
That's right.
The motor got replaced. It comes with spare, but what were you able to dig up?
And again, a neat part of racing lore. This GTO's factory V12 was removed. I believe it was in 64, 65. It was after the last time it was raced in the TT at Goodwood in Britain. There was a bit of a trend to Grand Prix cars at the time where this Ferrari engine was lighter and reliable and race proven. So it went into a Cooper Grand Prix car for 1965. And there were rule changes with Formula One at the time, and some teams weren't able to deal with, I guess, the restrictions or the new changes to the rules that year. So what they would do is they take a sports car engine or a sports racing car or a GT class engine. It'd be lighter and again, race proven, and they drop it into their F1 car, make it more lightweight and still keep an older chassis competitive again. So this one went into a Grand Prix car. They missed it in Cavallino, but again, that's early stages for the internet. The internet makes everything a lot easier in my business, to look things up.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So there's no shade to anybody there, but there's this wonderful book I mentioned earlier. It's called the Ferrari 250 GTO Super Profile by Chris Harvey. It was published in 1982 for Haynes, that does the maintenance manuals for a whole lot of cars. I find that actually that publisher in that series to be super high quality, and it describes by name, whose F1 car got the engine. I'd like to know where it went and try and find that. So there's a cool Formula One Grand Prix crossover between British GT racing and British Formula One competitors. Apparently this car was raced in the British Grand Prix in 65 with the original V12 from our GTO that we're looking at. I think they ran around 10th or 11th kind of a thing against factory teams. So I think it's pretty cool that privateers.
Yeah, that's respectable.
Yeah. And the other thing is like the GTO itself. I mean, that was mainly campaigned by privateers. I believe there was only one 250 GTO that Ferrari actually raced under the Ferrari CFAC banner of its racing team. So these were out in the wild with privateers. They did the yeoman's work of getting the manufacturers championships for Ferrari 62 to 64. Absolutely. So it's a great chapter in their history.
You know, that's a neat little note in regards to that motor getting dropped into an F1 car.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows the versatility of that, to be able to utilize it like that.
Yeah, they could go for distance and hold together despite being, highly tuned and exotic and everything. So that shows the adaptability, like you said, of the Ferrari V12. It was kind of startling to me, actually, to learn of this sort of trend. It's kind of like sports racing cars in the 60s, and they drop American V8s. And as the chassis became a little less competitive, maybe a little heavier than the competition, but the addition of some cubic inches or some horsepower would, or some lightness, as Colin Chapman used to say, add lightness. One way or the other, you might be able to move the Venn diagram to a nice sweet spot and keep going a little longer.
No replacement for displacement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The other notable thing about this GTO, as you know, and a lot of other people that study them or trade in them, is the fact that it was never wrecked.
Yeah.
There was a shunt in a race, but it just damaged front body work. They were able to probably pound it back into place and make it pretty again. Again, nobody was expecting these cars to be the art market valued cars that they are now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what that has become.
Oh, yeah.
Value wise with that car. The other interesting fact, and we were talking about this in that other episode with Chris Mealy and Murtaugh, was, to me, I think it just, I want to say enhances value, but I don't think it really is a detriment. Ferrari cast a brand new block, stamped it correct, made it just how it was back then. I mean, it's a new block for that car. It wasn't like they used new materials or anything like that. I mean, it's period correct. In my mind, it enhances it. I mean, you have a new motor that was made by the manufacturer for that car.
Absolutely. There's a lot of auto manufacturers that are coming around to the idea of that their heritage is priceless and needs to be not only preserved, but honored and promoted. And I think Ferrari, in my time in the auction business, I'd have to say Ferrari is probably the company that takes their heritage most seriously. So it's really amazing the support that they'll give. Obviously, it's a two-way street, but them overseeing the casting of a new engine that's to the absolute correct spec and stamping it and everything is fabulous, I think.
I don't know if they had the foresight to think of it, but they have casting from every car that left that factory. They have documentation on it to be able to go back and either make a new part or anything like that. I mean, their historical archives is unbelievable. So I don't know if it was, say, someone had the foresight, hey, we got to keep this all in order, because, like Lamborghini didn't give two shits about it for the longest time. And then I don't know about any other manufacturers, but Ferrari had the wherewithal in their mind saying, we need to preserve this stuff for these cars, which was fantastic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It makes me absolutely bonkers because I have to be research heavy. I use a lot of really good print sources. I've built that up. Filing is another issue, but I know where to look. The weird thing is I know where to find everything.
Like, I know where it's at.
Oh yeah. But I can't tell anybody else. I have to go and physically look at it. But anyway, that's a work in progress. But the other thing is, it's amazing the value of that kind of documentation. I just hope there's a renaissance and appreciation everywhere for actual physical documentation.
There's no reason not to.
Absolutely. There is so much to be gained from learning what's in Ferrari's files. People like I said, Marcel Massini, who went through the actual production records, and he's there on site looking through everything years ago. I really appreciate what Alfa Romeo and Maserati, you can get copies of their documents. They seem to really be taking their heritage seriously. But nobody ever expected these cars that would cause so much economic activity or so much passion in owners. The late friend of mine, Christopher Renwick, he was one of the pioneers of our business. At one time, he had purchased and sold 3 and possibly up to 6 250 GTOs at one time for about $6,500 to $10,000. Very late 60s, early 70s. He had a partner, a bankrolling him. It was John Cowley, a Hollywood studio executive. They were buying and selling these used up old race cars, and Christopher saw the value when no one else really did. I think there's an ad for a $14,000 asking price for a GTO in 1963, and it was the class winner at Daytona. I think one of the Rodriguez brothers drove it for an heir of the Reynolds tobacco fortune. And there's an ad, $14,000 was the asking price from a Buick dealer in California.
That's what I mean, a little over 100 grand in today's dollars, inflation.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not cheap, but considering what it is, again, having that crystal ball.
Oh, yeah. 2020 crystal ball, absolutely.
Yeah. Going forward here with our conversation, because the one big thing that we wanted to avoid, and we didn't get into it because I just didn't want to start touching on it, because God only knows what this thing's going to cross the block and sell for. Because I mean, it could be anywhere.
That's right.
It's got all the rarity going for it, even more rarity in guard for right-hand drive, and the only one in white, everything like that. To your point you mentioned before, these don't come across the block in a public auction very often.
Not at all.
In the past, was it 10 years? There's only been 3?
That's exactly right. Yeah. 2014 to 2023, there's 3 of them that came to public auction, 2 of them from RM. The first one was in 2014, and that, well, actually, my friend Christopher, he's been on record as having tried to actually engineer a purchase of that for somebody, and I was talking to him at that time. So it's kind of an interesting story, but there's more of them than I should be getting into right now. But that was the first, as I've listed here, the first major modern era GTO sale at public auction. And apparently it brought 38 and a bit million. I'm assuming that's with buyer premium, but which could be 10% on top.
Yeah, that's what it is there. I know, because the last one, 2023, that's including the premiums. I mean, yeah, it's not cheap. 2014, is that the one that the person was killed in it, the French driver?
I believe so. And in fact, I've got its history printed up. There was a major accident, I believe. So finding one that's never been wrecked, these are track weapons. All out. I don't even think I see a roll cage in pictures of this car back in the day.
No.
Those guys, they might have moved past polo helmets by then, and aviators goggles, maybe. Like, safety was like questionable, if that. If it added weight, probably not. I believe there was something to do with that first one, but even at that, a real GTO with Provenance, amazing amount of money. And since 2014, I mean, I'd probably suggest that major currencies have probably deflated by close to 20%, looking at deflation or inflation calculators. So 2014 versus now, I think you'd see that one take a bit of a bump up in value in today's terms. And then the 2 RM cars, I mean, that was heavy expectations 5 years apart when they sold, and about 3 million, give or take, dollars difference. So there's some stability, but it's, again, few and far between, as everybody knows. But you can still get some meaningful expectations. Again, there's quite a considerable uplift in value. The better the history, the more long-term previous ownership is present. Correctness or restoration or lack thereof, that can certainly add to value as well. It's going out on a limb somewhat, definitely to try and pull out some kind of an idea of what to expect on this one. Then we also have the private sale of, it's a 4153 GT.
McNeil's little 70 million purchase in 2018. And that kind of just goes to show you, though, in regards to Provenance history, that's another one that, it might have had a ding here and there on the fender stuff, but that was another one that wasn't wrecked. Tour de France winner. I mean, excellent history. When you go out and say, which one should I get? That's the one out of all the GTOs that was in. Hence, that's why it brought the premium. And he wanted the car. You're going to pay up for it. It's that attitude you're getting, especially like if it's in a public setting. If you got 2 people in the room, you're going to have fireworks. If they both want the car, that's what's going to get it going up there. But I mean, that was just, negotiation going. He wanted the car, but that's a nice car.
And what a trophy, because being in the business he's in, being in motorsports, affiliated with Laguna Seca and all that, and heavy sponsorship of motorsports, that's putting your wallet where your mouth is. Right there, that is walking it like you talk it.
Obviously he's got kids and stuff like that. So, but I think that's going to be another long-term family ownership vehicle there as well, because his kid raced, was it David? He's an excellent wheelman, going to it. And they got an unbelievable collection of cars as well, especially Ferrari specifically. To your point, mentioned about long-term ownership, this car basically in the past 40 years has had 2 owners.
Yeah.
Jack Sears and John Shirley. That's it.
And Jack Sears drove the car back in the early 60s. That's the great thing about this. And then he's reunited with it again when Neil Coroner owned it in the late 60s. He's invited up to Coroner's, is given a test drive in it, and then said, I'd really like right of first refusal. And then ended up buying the car and owning it all those years. So 1970 to 99, I believe.
Yep.
That's a wonderful full circle kind of thing, as far as I'm concerned. And Jack Sears, I'm sure the name rings bells with a lot of people, but he was an interesting character because he drove the 427 Galaxy, I believe, in one of the Tourist Trophy events at Goodwood.
Ooh.
Yeah, probably frightened everybody.
Yeah.
Probably everybody on the track would move out of his way as he's drifting around with a NASCAR Galaxy, basically. And he had the strength to be able to handle that car on the track like that.
That's what Gurney drove too, right?
Yeah.
That's a great story right there. Being in the stands or just, I mean, obviously you're going to hear that thing go around the track the whole way, but that just had to been such a sight for spectators alone, not just the guys on the track.
I'm sure that really got a lot of people excited when they saw Sears driving that back in the day. For him to be able to purchase the car that he actually raced competitively in the early 60s in frontline service, I mean, that's huge. And then he held on until, I believe, 99?
Yeah.
99, 2000, something like that. You know, so, I mean, long-term ownership, obviously, love of the car. I mean, when you buy a GTO, I mean, you're probably going to rub elbows with people like Nick Mason from Pink Floyd, if you like Floyd, as I do. You know, the fact that he's a skilled vintage racer and a GT owner since the 70s, I mean, that'd be kind of a really cool moment to get to meet him in that setting.
I mentioned in the other episode we did, I just love it, the fact that he used that as collateral to finance their tour in whatever it was, 86, 87. He put that up as collateral so they could get the money to be able to go out and tour to do the reunion thing, whatever.
You've got to be kidding. I had no idea.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah.
Holy cow.
Story.
So, in my opinion, early high-end asset finance.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Came back in spades what they made on the tour. But yeah, that's how they financed it. I think it was, it was like a couple $1 million or $1 million they got and used that as collateral. So,
holy cow.
To your point, all of a sudden you have an asset that in the banking world in the 80s is saying, it's not just a toy. Because now you have it where collections, everything like that is commonplace. But
that was a little bit revolutionary, I think, then with a high-end art type. I think they were considered to be kind of art at that point already. But the other thing is, to your point about Mason and the tour, it's obvious to family offices and high-end collectors and high net worth people everywhere worldwide already. But you buy something like this, I mean, that is an asset that even if it doesn't appreciate in value, blue sky here, you've got a massive long-term asset that probably will see you through any economic tailwinds.
Yeah.
Any collateral lender would probably put up a good chunk of money if you ever should need it.
Fails, I'm going to get my hands on that car.
Oh, I'd love to have a fractional ownership share in something like this. Although I think the price of entry would be pretty high.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's that whole side.
Now, the cool thing I love in what you do, there's going to be a link in the description. You guys got to check out David's site because get into it about what you have on this one, but kind of explain how you take a car and what you do with in regards to like collectability, rarity, ranges, and whatnot. Because you really break this down as some very, very meaty, substantial dollars and cents and information.
Yeah, I try to get very granular with what I'm doing, where someone can actually take a report that I generate and actually take action if they want to get into the market. And there's so many sweet spots in the market where there's opportunities for people to buy something to enjoy and see it appreciate. There's others that are, okay, these are hardcore collector cars that have to be housed in specific conditions, climate control and security and this, that, and the other thing, something like a GTO. But there's so many vehicles in between. So I try to help people with the idea of what the car's worth, what an appropriate value range is, and whether or not it's a buy, sell, or a hold. Kind of like when you look at financial channels like CNBC or whatever, and they're analyzing a stock in a company. I took that approach because I used to work in banking. But anyway, I try to apply some of those methods to what I'm doing today with Motorcopia. Basically, I'm looking at comparables just like an appraiser would, and then adjusting for how comparable they are to the car we're considering. So I started building these models that would help me to assign scores to vehicles, specific vehicles, or groups of vehicles if they're fairly common. So I'm looking at their market trend. Is there a good volume of them selling, being offered and being sold? Are they actually selling within a reasonable period of time? Or are they just sitting on companies' websites? Or are they being passed with reserve not met at auction kind of thing? So I'm looking at sort of the sales trend. Is it growing? Is it quick? Is there velocity and quickness in their sales? Obviously, rarity is massive. So in this case, with the GTO, as far as the trend, blue chip assets, especially art, where there's a crossover between cars like the GTO and art, those kind of blue chip assets that ultra high net worth people are collecting, those are stable right now. What we're seeing, the ultra high net worth buying market is still there. Nobody's panicking, nobody's running. People are still continuing to buy things like GTOs. Rarity is off the chart with this car, so I gave that a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's the only one in white from new. As I understand it too, it's not significantly restored. I would have to leave it to a car specialist with Mecum to tell me or not, or a Ferrari expert to tell me. The interior is apparently not restored.
And we were discussing it before too, and we don't know why, but Ferrari GTOs commonly have that blue interior.
That's right.
And that car was from the factory, had that in there, but like within 2 weeks, maybe 3 of Coombs taking delivery of the car, he changed it to black.
Okay.
We don't know. It has something with, whoever was driving, whatnot. Don't know. But he changed it to black. Like maybe he didn't like blue. I don't know.
Yeah.
Majority of them all have that blue interior. It's like a staple.
That's right. This car has a lot of integrity is what I'm trying to say. It's been refinished back to its early 60s colors and racing livery. So we gave it a 10. Cultural significance is something I look at as well. And most car aficionados, the car is totally recognizable and people are aware of it. It's almost a 10 out of 10. It's 9.5 out of 10 on cultural significance. Cost or accessibility, I gave it a 3 because only the most wealthy people can buy it.
Yeah.
And that's just a function of rarity, provenance, and desirability. And this is ultra desirable and ultra rare at the same time. There's a lot of Gen X buyers now that have become wealthy or are becoming wealthy. They're innovating. They're in the market. And there could be somebody with new money that nobody's heard of before or nobody expects that could just kind of come right up in the bidding process. Market activity, I gave it a 6. The supply is limited, as you know, but demand is steady at the top end. So, I think that the market is very robust for this type of car. You don't have to do any explaining about this car. That's the other thing about it. The history is rich, the history is interesting, and it's good history. There's no stories. It looks like it's been very well documented through the years. And having had 2 owners since 1970, though, that helps as well.
Oh, definitely.
And people that are qualified to own it and enjoy it and keep it. It's been vintage raced a little bit with the spare engine, as I understand it, under John Shirley. They've taken it on tours they've gone to 250 GTO reunions in France. Just fabulous. I would have to do that if I had a car like this.
Yeah, it's a must.
You have to do it. Yeah, and then be with all the other people that own these cars. You imagine that kind of a experience. So with a weighted average, it's a 7.4 out of 10, and which might not sound great, 74% kind of thing, but how I score things, that's solidly bullish and it's fit for selective buying by qualified collectors. What I'm looking at, it's a solid sweet spot to acquire an investment grade legend. The photographs that are out there from back in the day of this car at Goodwood and in various races, to understand how hard these cars were driven. Apparently they were really good if they were drifted on a track that had lots of curves. So seeing these guys, like we said earlier, no roll cage, they had seatbelts, but helmets I think were not quite standardized quite yet in terms of specification. And these guys, they're drifting and they're going all out. I have a hard time describing the mindset I get when I see a car like this. Again, hand-built, designed by people who were inventing racing technology as they went.
The legends. Yeah.
Yeah. Giotto Bizzarini, I believe he was sort of the engineer at Ferrari that really spearheaded taking advantage of the GT class rules and developing a car that was ever more specialized for the rules. Ferrari did that like no other manufacturer, as far as I'm concerned, back in the day. And the way that racing technology then primarily was what this car was about, but it was purely a GT car. So you could slap plates on. They were raced with number registration tags on them. If you wanted to throw a couple bags in the regulation trunk compartment and go drive across the Alps or something. These were James Bond kind of people.
Technically, it's an evolution of the 250 SWB, and that's
right.
how he was getting it through the regulations and them saying, no, it's not a brand new car. No, it's actually just this car. We just tweaked it a bit.
Yeah.
It was a brand new car, but he had the pull and it was Enzo. And they're like, okay, we see that. While everyone else like, that's a brand new car. Like, no, it's still just an evolution. And that was always kind of humorous.
Exactly. And you know what? And in that class of racing, to not have Ferrari competing at the top level would have been a loss.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, to the whole idea of it. Imagine being in the stands at one of the races this car was at in Britain back in the day. And, again, Ferrari, Jaguar, Aston battling. To a lesser extent, it was win on Sunday, sell on Monday. But I suppose perhaps for Ferrari, road cars were becoming more important. Road cars production was being taken more seriously. But Aston, and they were about selling cars.
Yeah.
It would have been really thrilling to see them. I mean, it'd be thrilling to see one of these cars in action anytime going through the gears. But back in the day, that would have been just like off the hook.
YouTube's great and watching old stuff, but it's not replacing actually being there.
No.
It just had to have been unbelievable. Not just seeing one, but 4 GTOs, the D-type seats. I mean, just cars that are just legend to us today, pushed to the limit and just banging fenders and doing everything.
Oh, yeah. Doing what they were made to do. Absolutely right.
Let's get into, I guess, the elephant in the room, so to speak, is valuation. You get numbers thrown out left and right. I've talked to several people, and they're like, are they doing the right thing by going to an auction, or even because they always keep referencing, Seinfeld's 917 most recently and that debacle there and everything like that. So kind of going back and forth, and I think it's brilliant. You have a valuation estimates done up. So let's walk us through that, what you have.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. but here it is. I've already gone through what the basis, what the mindset, what the whole zeitgeist of where I'm going with this. This car, there's several scenarios. I'm going to just start with just what's on paper here. The median value for a 250 GTO in number 2 condition, which is excellent. There's excellent, and then there's number 1 concours. So I'm using the Haggerty ratings to help inform this. So my starting point is the median value of a 250 GTO in number 2 condition as a baseline. Okay, now I haven't inspected these cars directly, so I'm going by what their sale results were and what this car represents and what we know about it, which is the whole deal. This car has been repainted under John Shirley, under his care, to its 1962 livery with the Graham Hill number 10 on it. When somebody at that level as a collector has something repainted, it's not going to Earl Scheib's.
No.
Or Mecum. There's probably an immense amount of prep, avoidance of taking anything out of the car that should remain. That's an earmark of originality. So this car is as it was raced. It looks visually beautiful. They didn't put it on chrome wire wheels. Those were painted wheels, silver painted wheels back in the day. It looks great. I gave it an uplift of 20% to a number 1 condition car. So now we're looking at 60, just a tad over 60 million US. The story of the car, because it's so good, I didn't want to overdo it. We applied a 5% uplift because the story is good. The provenance is great on this car. So now we're up at just a bump over $63 million in immediate value. Now that's not assuming 2 strongly motivated bidders in the same room together, clubbing each other over the head with millions of dollars.
My checkbook's bigger.
Oh, yeah. I would love to see an actual 2 to 5 people in the room actually bidding that are qualified, real bona fide bidders. Their credit line is good and they're good to go. I want to see stuff like that. I respect the fact that there's different modalities for bidding, remotely, online, on the phone, or with an agent. But I really want to hear somebody yell and scream, that pound their fist.
Yeah, I think Mecum's on board with you with that too.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
I agree though.
Yeah, I'm not in this business to not be excited and thrilled.
Yeah, to see someone standing around a phone doing this.
Yeah, I've seen some bidding wars, and I tell you, that's fun. That is really fun to see. But anyway, we've got an immediate value I'm putting on it of it can go higher, it can go lower. What I'm seeing from the data and the considerations I put into this model, 63 million is solid as far as the value. Then there's a time horizon component that I put onto it, where I'm also looking at immediate, which we've covered 63 million, a 1 to 2 year short-term window, because I cannot see anybody flipping this car in 3 to 12 months.
No,
if you've won it and you've bought it, I probably want to wrap it up in a bow and put it in my house for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stare at it for a year straight.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a progressively higher window as we move through the next 3 time ranges. Short-term 1 to 2 years, I'm thinking it's around 66 million and change. Medium-term 3 to 5 years, we're knocking on 70 million, 69 to 70 million, and long-term 8 to 10 years, 75 million or plus.
What's that working out percentage? To me, that looks like a good return in 8 to 10 years. I mean, that's beating markets.
Oh yeah, that's the thing about it. I mean, I want to produce a chart with a variety of hard luxury assets versus the collector car market and have it meaningful as to how everything's compared. What I can say from memory is there's the Knight Frank Luxury Index, I believe it's called. That includes collector car cars, as well as art, cigars, fine whiskeys, and wines. I believe the Knight Frank index of those kinds of luxury assets has outperformed financial assets hands down for the last couple of decades.
I agree.
It coincides with stock options where there's been only 2 instances in the last 27 years whereby company insiders have bought shares in their company as opposed to exercising options to sell those shares of their companies. So there's a lot of liquidity in the market. There's a lot of money floating. And I don't know if it has a lot of velocity whereby people are actually spending the money that's floating around in the economy right now. So there's a lot of capital. There's a lot of available money, and it's looking for homes. You combine that sort of dynamic in the financial markets with the way luxury markets have performed over the last few decades, and it's a no-brainer. So I'm looking at the first 2 subsequent time windows, if I'm doing my mental math properly, about 5% gain year over year up until after you get into the 8 to 10 year window, and then starting to move up a bit. But I'm being kind of conservative. Marcel Massini had made a very informed comment. I believe it was in 2018 when he was asked for a soundbite when David McNeil bought his GTO. And he said something like, well, I could foresee in the next 5 years $100 million. It didn't happen, but it could happen. I think that there's money looking for a home that is interesting, that will either maintain value or could appreciate. And when you're investing in the highest of the high-end market like this, I'd have to say, if anybody's looking for safety, I think it's here and not in bonds and T-bills and municipal bonds.
And this is the only thing that you could put your money into that you can go and use and enjoy. Put your money into real estate, unless it's your vacation home. Okay, you can go stay there. But bills, bonds, I mean, you got a piece of paper. What are you going to do with that? Artwork, same thing. You could stare a little bit in your wall, but I mean, what else are you going to do with it?
And it's probably going to be in a vault. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
This is tactile. This is something you can touch and see, and with proper care, fire it up and
participate in events. You got 35 other people. Well, I say 34 because Bamford's got 2 and that stuff. So you do the math. But I mean, it's just what you get in return for having your money in that is just...
I think there's so many intangibles that go with owning something like this. And the event eligibility, you get into any event, you damn well please with something like this.
It's a golden ticket.
I don't think anyone's going to turn you away if you show up.
No.
I'd like to enter.
Even if you show up and you didn't register or whatnot, they're not going to turn you away.
Oh yeah. This is just transcendent on so many levels. It's just amazing. I don't want to overdo the sort of the attributes of the car, but getting back to value, I even kind of look at a recommended reserve kind of idea too. If somebody's questioning what they should have used as a reserve, how they should deal with bringing a car like this to an auction, I can kind of walk through their options and help them with that. If somebody has a GTO and they want to put a reserve on it, I'm calling for about 63 million.
As we're discussing this, we keep referencing what you've written up. We could put this up on the website. For the video version of this, we'll have it flash up and you can see exactly what we're referencing, how David gets together. And keep in mind that this is just a quick one he put together. I mean, he can go in a lot more deeper and in depth to whatever extent you want in regards to your car that you're looking at. I tell you what, I mean, especially if you're getting into high-end 6-figure, get your 7-8-figure cars, this is invaluable in regards to information for what you're putting your money into. You to make a decision you're comfortable with, you're going to have everything you could think of information-wise to make that correct decision. If you should keep bidding higher, or maybe, I've maxed out, what have you. But I mean, it just gives you that much more because, information is gold in this situation. Knowing history, provenance, everything, not just about that specific car, but about the model range in general for that specific car. This stuff's fantastic. I can't tell you guys how impressive this is. You'll be like, wow, you're getting into it. And it gives you the arsenal you need in regards to making an informed, proper decision at an auction.
Thank you. That's what I'm going for. And the thing is, when I was putting Motorcopia together, I pivoted in the spring from cool car content. I was including from the start ideas about potential values and whether something is an opportunity to buy or if you need to hold on to it or sell it, depending on your needs. I kind of went from that, the cool car content kind of thing, with some deep dives. And I just went, okay, no, there are people out there that the number one question I would get as a writer when I'm interviewing an owner about a major car they're selling, then they say, well, David, you've been in the business a long time. What do you think my car's worth? And I have to say the disclaimer, I am here to gather your information. I'm here to compile the description. I can't get into that. I would refer you to name at XYZ auction company that you're dealing with. And that's the discussion you need to have directly with them. But This set of tools I've been working on, we can help the owner slash seller. We can help the auction house too if they have an opportunity and they're in a bit of a negotiating war over getting a consignment, a significant consignment or not, and where they would be comfortable coming in on reserves. That's probably the number one thing, is a major stumbling block for people participating in the market, is they don't feel comfortable. A lot of sellers think they can do better, that they have done better. My goal is that the auction company and the seller and the buyer, I don't want anybody feeling like something got done to them, to use poor language, but where everybody's walking into something where they're feeling comfortable with the decisions they're making, and there's less friction doing what they need to get done. And so hopefully this set of tools will help with that kind of idea. Like I said, less friction, better experience for everybody.
Yeah, you want everyone to walk away happy. I mean,
Yeah.
Especially in an auction environment, because the buyer, you want them to come back again when they're looking for a nice car, or two, when they want to go sell that car, they had a great experience. They're going to come back to you to sell it then at auction. If you're not doing it privately, what have you.
Absolutely.
Having that all around good experience, because you bad taste in your mouth. And in this day and age, your pickings are pretty good in regards to where you could potentially go.
Oh, yeah.
It's critical.
Absolutely right. Everybody needs to get what they're looking for, in my philosophy of how I look at things. And I don't want to do something whereby somebody feels that their interests have not been respected. And you know what? And auction companies, they're good folks doing good work. They're creating markets.
Oh, yeah.
They're 100% customer service based. They're 100% financial trust basis, and they're 100% involved with making everybody happy. And it's hard to make everybody happy, even under the best of circumstances. I enjoy auctions very much, but I'd like to be able to get out to some of these events again, because they're a lot of fun. There's a lot of electricity in the air. There's a lot at stake. The best thing, like I said, I want people yelling and screaming when they're making a bid on this. I don't want it quiet.
I think that's what Dana Mecum has excelled at, and what he has built, because I think it's great because he knows the customer is spending 10, 12 grand. So the customer is spending a few million. That's, a big, wide breadth there, dollar wise, but each person wants to have that same experience and walk away happy and be able to cater those people and cater those. I think he's nailed it in regards to that, because he makes that person that's getting or selling the $10,000, $12,000 car feel like they're selling the $5, $6 million car. There's no variance in there in regards to how these people are dealt with. And I think they've done an awesome job with it. And I think that's why they're leading the way, I think.
Mecum Auctions has really impressed me, because I remember back around 2012, there was a significant hot rod. There was a 32 Ford Highboy. It was the Tom McMullen Roadster, black 32 Ford that had the blower sticking out of the hood and the flame job on the side. And it was kind of a staple in Hot Rod magazine in the 60s. And I think that man was even like the editor of Hot Rod, or some player in the magazine at one time in the 60s, 70s. And they did a online booklet for that car, and the history was known from day one. And when I saw the job they were doing to market that one at their huge auctions versus, multi-million dollar cars that they were also handling, I thought that was really impressive. They all have their little nuances, their own little stories. I mean, I'd love to just sit inside this car and just kind of meditate a little bit and just see if I can soak up some of the aura.
I'm right there with you on that. I mean, that's just, you start soaking in everything. And then you start realizing like who's sat behind the wheel of this car and who's been, just like all that, just story, history, everything like that.
That's what makes what we do really fun.
It's hard to explain to non-automotive people that get that. But, us that are the maniacs that love this with passion, I mean, it's like you get it. It's just one of those things.
And if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you don't. I mean, that's the fun of what we do. There's something for everybody.
Having these types of cars at their auctions, that's helping them become a dominant player in the ultra exotic cars, Lamborghinis, something. I think that's really driving that.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday alone, if you tally up all the Ferraris that are going to sell on Saturday alone, it's going to break $100 million total easily.
Oh, yeah.
The Bachmann collection, the GTO, I mean, that's going to be an exciting couple hours there, because there's some unbelievable cars. I mean, to your point, being there, I know me and Eric are trying to figure out a way to be there for that. I keep calling it Super Saturday, because it's just going to be, energies are going to be crazy. And to your point, we get some people in that room battling, it's going to be some good times, very much so. So that gives us a nice segue though on your bidder's psychology. You have a nice breakdown. Obviously, we know it's going to be someone that's got some very, very, very deep pockets. And as you always mentioned, high net worth individuals seems to be the key word for these people these days. But what else is kind of coming into play in regards to hopefully attempting to buy this car?
I think that there's always a need for what we've already talked about in regard to a historic vehicle like this with great provenance and high value. We might see more and more family offices that are actually recommending to their family customers. We have generational wealth that's been created and that we've been trying to maintain for you. We need to backstop that and actually by going out on a limb and purchasing something like this 250 GTO, because if a car like that were ever to drop in value because it is now in the province of fine art, in my opinion, that means the whole economy is dropping.
Yes.
And then it'd be a point where you have something of great value that you can borrow against if necessary, like we said before, or sit on until things turn around. And I think this is sort of a generational wealth play, in my opinion, as one target. And if people like that are willing to step out of the box a little bit, and they may have been doing this already. I mean, I was at one auction 7 or 8 years ago whereby in Scottsdale, where there was a family, they were at another event the night before, they heard there was an auction, 2 cars went unsold, and they just said, we want this one and we want that one. Where do we go to write it up?
Must be nice.
Yeah. The one was an exceptional Ford GT, a 2005 or 6, and the other one, that was for the son, and then the mom and dad wanted a Porsche 911, one of those 1989 Speedsters.
I'm up for adoption.
Oh, yeah. I think I said something like that to them. We had a great time. And they ended up buying them and then having them shipped home. It was really quite amazing. But the people are out there. The problem is for them either knowing what's available and or understanding that it could be something that's actually not a want anymore. It's more of a need. And so something like this, if you're a cultivated collector and you've got the real estate looked after, you've got the investments looked after, and the business is good, this would be a great place to, as a store of value kind of idea. But there's a lot of psychological triggers for it. I don't know if anybody really talks about this kind of thing. There's, in terms of some of the attributes of this car that we've already talked about. And then you combine that with an auction, there's a sense of urgency in a sense. This is an asset that could perpetuate your legacy kind of idea. I don't care whatever anybody says. Somebody could say, I was once the owner of 3729 GT, Ferrari GTO. I mean, I'm sorry, that to me is like one of the ultimate things you can say. But anyway, I've seen auctions of interesting or significant items or lots that there's one bid and that's it. That really can be, kind of sad to see. So I'm assuming that the bidding will go on for some period of time. They're not going to just run this through. I'm hoping to see, like we said, 2 trophy buyers collide, and they were looking at 60 to 70 million.
Me and David could probably talk for another 5 hours, but this is a special car. Provenance history, to your point, it's never been wrecked detrimentally. It has a dings here and there, stuff like that. 2 long-term owners right there alone just tells you how special this car is. The only one that was built from the factory in the Bianco Speciale, one of 8 right-hand cars. I mean, this is the creme de la creme for the collector car world. David went into this in great, he can go in farther detail with his report, but I mean, what he wrote up here just for this conversation is incredible. But it really breaks it down, tell you how special this car is. You're going to have all the excitement from the cars before. That room's going to be packed, so it's going to be exciting stuff. So, David, I want to thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure. This was awesome, really getting into this.
Love it.
The links for his site and everything like that, it will be in the description. Hit David up if you need something done for a car.
Love it. It's been great to talk with you. Again, it's an amazing car with an amazing story. And the great thing is we can talk about it, and it's coming to market again. And so it's going to set the tone for the future on these types of cars.
Doing multiple part series on this car for Mecum with Mecum. So take a listen to all the other episodes and stay tuned. I appreciate it, David. It's been fantastic.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure.
David will definitely be back on further episodes as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Motorcopia is an independent collector car market intelligence and publishing platform founded by David C.R. Neyens, a veteran writer, researcher, and auction catalog specialist with a long-standing presence in the industry since 2008. Known for his deep expertise in classic and exotic automobiles, David has long been a trusted voice in auction catalogs and in the pages of enthusiast publications. Now he's bringing that wealth of knowledge to the digital age with Motorcopia.com, a unique platform dedicated to the intelligence and insights of the global collector car market. Motorcopia delivers proprietary market indices, including the Market Pulse, Forward Index, Buy, Sell, Hold Index, and Value Scope, alongside auction coverage, investment insights, and collector vehicle analysis. With a focus on serving high net worth collectors, advisors, and industry professionals, Motorcopia combines deep cataloging expertise with data-driven reporting to spotlight actionable trends, opportunities, and results across the global collector car market. For more information or to get your personalized vehicle investment report, be sure to visit www.motorcopia.com.
Nobody sells more than Mecum. Nobody. Mecum Auctions is the world's leader of collector car, vintage, and antique motorcycle and road art sales, hosting auctions throughout the United States. The company has specialized in the sale of collector cars for more than 35 years, now offering more than 22,000 lots per year and averaging more than one auction per month. Mecum Auctions is headquartered in Walworth, Wisconsin, and since 2011 has been ranked #1 in the world with the number of collector cars offered at auction, and is host to the world's largest collector car auction held annually in Kissimmee, Florida, as well as the largest motorcycle auction held annually in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mecum's Road Art and Mecum On Time divisions offer a wide variety of collectibles for live and online auctions. You can learn more and follow Mecum and their upcoming events at www.mecum.com, or you can follow them on social at Mecum Auction on Facebook, at Mecum_auctions on Instagram, at Mecum on Twitter, and at Mecum Auction on YouTube.
For everything from Ferrari and Porsche, Lamborghini, and Koenigsegg, visit exoticcarmarketplace.com. If you're into anything with wheels and a motor, log on to the Motoring Podcast Network and check out our family of podcasts at motoringpodcast.net. This is the place to find your favorite new show. Next up, a shout out to David Beatty and his team at Slot Mods, who custom build some of the coolest slot car tracks in the world at slotmods.com. Let your imagination run wild. And finally, Grand Touring Motorsports, covering all aspects of auto racing and motorsports history. Check out their e-zine at gtmotorsports.org. All the links for our sponsors are in the description.
This episode has been brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports as part of our Motoring Podcast Network. For more episodes like this, tune in each week for more exciting and educational content from organizations like the Exotic Car Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Break Fix, and many others. If you'd like to support Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network, sign up for one of our many sponsorship tiers at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. Please note that the content, opinions, and materials presented and expressed in this episode are those of its creator, and this episode has been published with their consent. If you have any inquiries about this program, please contact the creators of this episode via email or social media as mentioned in the episode.